Talk, where we talk about all things to do with designing, developing, and delivering a superb learning experience. Talk about how we can get the knowledge out of your head and into the world so that you can scale, you can create impact, and live the lifestyle that you love. So, for today's Tuesday talk, I want to talk about user personas, about how we can actually create a user persona. So let's jump into it. Oh, actually, before we jump into it, just thought I'd do a quick mention. Okay, for those that normally, if you're tuning in, watching this, you're only going to today, you're only watching it on YouTube or LinkedIn. Unfortunately, we're not streaming to Facebook today because the API between Restream, which we use for streaming, and our Facebook and Twitter accounts is down. So we'll be posting this later into the Facebook group. So you'll be able to watch it then. So if you're watching it then, you'll know what the story is. But yeah, that's where we are. So yeah, creating a user persona. What do we need to do? Why? What's the importance of it? Okay, so it's really critical that we understand our audience. If it's probably one of the big things that we really need to understand is understanding who our audience is. Who are we designing our learning for? Who are we targeting? Who are we marketing to? If we don't understand these things, then we're going to simply miss the target. We're not going to get the results that we want. So it's really, really critical as part of this initial stuff when you're doing the analysis and design of that learning experience is really, being sure that you understand who our audience is. Okay, it's really important, so that we understand what are their pains and problems. Okay, we're not going to be able to build a painkiller course. We're not going to be able to build a course that provides the solutions to their problems if we don't understand their pains and problems. So it's really critical that as part of this process that we go down is that we understand who is our target market, who are we, building this resource for, and what are the pains and problems that they're having. And this is also important as well when we're doing the marketing. I mean, if you're creating the marketing for your course, trying to generate desire, and you can't speak to the pain points or the problems that they're having, then people aren't going to become solution aware if you're not hitting the right mark. Okay, it's also about understanding what are their hopes and dreams. Okay, what do they want to achieve? What are they dreaming of? And again, tying into those things, because it's not just about the physical stuff, but there's also a level of the emotional stuff there as well. So really be able to understand their hopes and dreams. And until we really dive in and really understand who the user is, we're not going to get there. And also understanding what are their experiences, what are their skills. Okay, one of the big things when you're looking at adult learning principles is that the prior experiences of a learner can help or hinder the learning experience. And if we don't understand what those experiences are, then what we create is potentially going to miss. It's not going to resonate with them. It's not going to be relevant. It's not going to, it's not really going to provide the solution that they need. People aren't going to be engaged. They're not going to want to do your course. They're not going to tell other people about your course. So, it's just not going to be a huge success. And also, if you're building stuff and you're targeting at the wrong level, some people might have a certain level of skills and knowledge and experience, and if you target it at a level that is below them, well, you're going to bore them. They're not going to be interested. They're not going to see value in it, so they're not going to complete your course. On the other hand, if you target it too high, then you're going to lose them. They're going to be struggling. They're not going to understand it. They're not going to be able to, potentially not going to make that step between where they are and where you're pitching the program. And again, that's going to demotivate them. And once that motivation has been lost, then trying to get it back is going to be a struggle, and trying to get them to actually come back into the course and complete it is going to be a huge battle. Okay? So it's really around putting ourselves in the other person's shoes. It's really about, developing some empathy for them and understanding who is this person, what do they feel, what are they thinking, What are they feeling? And really trying to understand who they are and build it from their point of view. So taking very much a user focused development rather than you going, okay, this is what I think people need. Building the resource, building the learning experience or the learning experiences with the user focus in mind. And obviously that's the big thing that we need to do. And that's why we want to go down the path of actually building out a user persona. Really important that we understand the user personas. And so what we've done to make this a little bit easier is we've built our personas model. So let's jump in and have a look at that. Okay, because the big thing is by creating a persona, we're able to then be ruthlessly relevant. Okay, we can really make sure that what we're targeting is relevant for that audience and anything don't include. So then we're not overwhelming them with lots of information. So it's really critical to be ruthlessly relevant and understand who your audience is. So the personas model. So as part of that, we look at a number of different factors, which you can see there. So we're looking at the profile. We do some empathizing. We look at the reasons, their skills, knowledge, experience, the obstacles that they might be facing, their needs, the access to technology, and we look at solution alignment. So for profile, this is really where we start to look at, a bit of demographics and really trying to understand if we, put our persona, and it might be that you end up developing a couple of different personas. But what you're looking at is looking at, well, okay, what's their age or age range? What's the gender? Is it male, female, or is it both? Is it a mix of different things? What is that? Do they have a specific occupation? Okay, it might be that you find that, a lot of the people you're targeting with your program, they might all be salespeople, or they might be, predominantly accountants, in which case then you're going, okay, well, that allows me to sort of niche down and move into a certain target and demographic and gives you some other opportunities to really sort of drill down and find out, well, what are the big problems that these people are having? Okay. Do they have family? Are they married? Not married? A couple of kids? Married with no kids? All those sorts of things. And also, what's their location? Are they based in Australia, overseas, in the US? All those sort of things. So really build up a bit of a profile so you can get a bit of a picture around this person or this persona. Then it's a matter of really this is where I said before about putting yourself in their shoes and really developing a bit of an empathy map and really trying to understand what is it that these people are thinking or feeling. What are they seeing when they're doing their daily work, when they're being challenged by the problems that you're trying to solve? What are the things that they're seeing or hearing? Or even what are they doing? Is there things that they're doing that is actually causing them to not be able to achieve the outcome that you want them to achieve? Are they doing things in the wrong way? Are they maybe having the wrong mindset? Are they, not following certain processes? There's a whole lot of different things there. Okay. What are they doing when things aren't working? Okay. So really a matter of putting yourself in the shoes and developing that empathy. What are the things that they're hearing? Are they hearing other people telling them that they should do stuff and maybe that's not the right information? Okay. Are they hearing negative comments? They're hearing positive comments. Have a think about all of those different things and really start to create a real big empathy map so that you can really understand who these people are. Then, as I said before, skills, knowledge, and experience. Okay. So what are the skills that they've got? How long have they been working? What sort of job are they doing? What skills have they developed in that job? What knowledge do they have? And how does that relate back to what you're trying to solve them? Are those skills or the knowledge that they have, is that creating issues? Is it because they've got a different mindset, or they've been told something and actually they need to unlearn something, before you can actually teach them something new? What are their prior experiences? And that can be prior experiences with the work that they're doing, prior experiences with the problems that they've had, but also their prior experiences with learning. They've had a whole bunch of really bad learning experiences. And so then when you're trying to get them involved in your training and in your training programs, you're going to be having a bit of a battle. They're going to struggle. They're not necessarily going to be that engaged if they've already had a whole lot of prior experiences. It's a bit like if you go to a fancy restaurant and then you go in and the meal's terrible. Well, you're probably not going to want to go back again. Okay, just like if you've had a bad learning experience, then you might think, oh, okay, this is always the same. And especially if it's been something like e-learning or online learning that's been poorly designed. Okay? But also think about what is their ideal experience. Maybe their ideal experience is, Zoom sessions or a mix of Zoom and face-to-face, or maybe it's a mix of, face-to-face and online, or maybe it's just face-to-face. And obviously that's a bit of a challenge in today with lockdowns and things like that happening and social distancing and the amount of people we can have come together. But certainly think about that. Think about what is their ideal experience? What is the big thing that they're going to look at and go, wow, that's just how I want to learn. That's the type of experience I want to do. Maybe it's maybe they really want to get together and do a 3-day retreat. Maybe they want to do a half-day masterclass. Whatever. Think about what their ideal experiences are for that person. Then we want to start thinking about the obstacles. So what are the things that are challenging them or frustrating them? What are the obstacles that are causing them to not be getting to the prize? They've got a problem. You want to move them from problem to prize. You've got this solution. Well, why aren't they there? What are the obstacles? What are the challenges and frustrations that are stopping them? Or are there any other roadblocks to their learning? Okay. This might be, physical roadblocks in terms of they just don't believe they have the time, or don't have access to the technology. But it could be other things as well. Maybe there's cultural things. Maybe they've got, they're from a non-English speaking background, or there's other cultural factors, or maybe they've got, dyslexia or some sort of learning disability. There's a whole range of other roadblocks to learning that you need to consider. And if they exist, then you need to think about, well, how do we work around those roadblocks? How do we create a different sort of learning experience to overcome these obstacles? Because you can go ahead and you can, look at, okay, we're developing something that empathizes with them, that's ruthlessly relevant, that really ties into their skills, knowledges, and experiences. But then, if it then comes up against all these roadblocks, against all these obstacles, then you've probably wasted your time. So really thinking about what the obstacles are that these people are going to be facing as well. Then think about what are their needs. And this is both the rational and emotional needs. Okay. If we look at our brain, we've got the lizard brain, which is the emotional part of our brain, and it drives so much of our decision making. So while we might want ourselves to believe that the decision we made was a rational decision, the reality is that the majority of those decisions are emotional. So we need to think about what those needs are for that persona. What are their rational needs, but also what are their emotional needs? And how do you tap into those? And that's certainly going to be quite of a benefit when we are building a learning program and we really want them to see the benefit of it. We want them to see the WIFM, what's in it for me. And if we can't do that rationally and emotionally, then again, they're not going to be engaged. One of the things we want to do is we want to hook people. We want them to see why I need to do this. So you need to understand what their needs are. Okay. Also, a lovely quote is, it's not just about what people will learn, okay, but also design for what they're going to feel as part of the experience. So again, this comes back to that piece around that emotional needs. What is the emotional stuff that you're going to build into that? Comes back to the empathy map as well, about the feeling. And what are we going to do that actually gives them something that feels good? Because if the learning experience feels good to them, they're going to be more engaged in it. If they're more engaged in it, then they're going to be more interested in consuming the content. They're going to consume the content. Then they're probably going to remember the content. They're going to probably more likely to take action. So a whole range of different things there. So don't just design for what they're going to learn, design also for what they're going to feel. So this very much comes back to, yes, what are those needs, both rational and emotional? Then also think about the technology. How are they accessing the technology? How do they access the information? Are they doing it on mobile devices? Are they on desktops? Do they have to go to a library because they don't have a computer at home? What is it? How are they doing it? Is it on tablets? Are they on broadband? Are they, maybe they're not haven't got connected up to the NBN yet. Are they dialing up using their phone? What are the limitations that are going to impact on how they're accessing the technology? So if we're building a digital learning experience and we want them to be able to access it with technology, then obviously that needs to come into that. And also then, what's their preferred method of communication? Do they like the phone? Is it chat, text, email? What are the different methods that they like to use when they're communicating? And can you target that and really understand that? So when you're creating an experience and you want to engage with them outside of what might be happening inside the course, do you send them a text or do you give them a call? Do you send them an email? What is it? If their preferred method of communication is text and they're really not going to open up emails, then what's going to be the result? You're probably not going to engage with them as much. Okay. Also understand, where are they social? Where are you going to find these people? Are they on Facebook, Twitter? Probably not on Facebook at the moment because of the crash. But are they on LinkedIn? TikTok, Instagram? All of these different places. Where are they? Where are they social, and where are you going to engage with them? And this is probably more important when you're looking at creating the marketing to try and engage people to come into your programs. Certainly having an understanding of where they are social and accessing technology. And then also, what's their proficiency with technology? Are they highly skilled? Do they have lots of skills, lots of experience with using technology? Or are they a little bit technically challenged? Really important to have a think about all of those things. So they're the big things you want to think about when you're creating that user persona. Think about their profile, do some empathizing, think about what are their reasons, their skills and knowledge and experience, think about their obstacles, thinking about their needs, and thinking about the access to technology. So that's a big thing to create the persona for the user. But I did say that this was the personas model. So I've left off the S at the end. And that one is really around that solution alignment. So this is not necessarily looking at the individual. Okay, the persona is the thing we want to develop, but it's the personas model. And what we want to do is we want to be able to come back to that persona all the time as we're developing the solution and making sure that our solution is aligned to that persona. Asking yourself all the time, how does the problems that I'm solving relate to that individual and their goals? How does the solution build on their skills and knowledge and experience? How does the solution connect with the different needs, rational and emotional needs? And then how does the solution connect with their access to technology? So go and develop your persona. But it's not a case of just once you've developed it, putting it away and go, great, I've done that bit of work. I can now move on to the next stage. That persona should be stuck up on your wall, should be front of mind so that you're constantly looking at it and constantly coming back to it when you are creating your learning experience and asking yourself those questions and going, is my solution aligning to my persona? Because if it doesn't align to the persona, you're going to miss the mark. You're not going to engage people. They're not going to find it relevant. They're not going to get value from it. And if they don't get value from it, they're not going to tell others about it. You're not going to make a huge impact as a result. So really have a big think about your personas model. So again, the profile, the empathy, the reasons, skills, knowledge, experiences, the obstacles, the needs, the access to technology, and the solution alignment. Okay. Now, if you're interested, drop a chat below. So this is going up to YouTube and LinkedIn, but we have a template for our persona template, our personas model template. And if you're interested, type, yes, I'm interested in the chat below. When we put this recording on Facebook as well, you can do that. And I'll get one of the team to make contact with you and to send out our personas template, which is going to help you to structure and create this experience. So that's what I want to talk about today in today's Tuesday Talk, around creating your user persona. So questions, I'll open it up. Any questions? Got any questions? Just throw them in the chat there. I know we're probably going to be limited for questions because we're not streaming into the Facebook group. I'll wait here. But certainly, again, as per usual, if you've got any questions afterwards, if you're watching this recording, drop your comments in the chat below, and we can answer them as part of that process. And also, if you want to know more, if you want to look at how you can actually take this knowledge around who your users are and understanding, okay, now I understand who my users are, my next big challenge is really how do I structure that experience? How do I get the knowledge out of my head? Then certainly you can jump onto one of our clarity mapping calls, and we're going to help you to develop that. We're going to talk a little bit more around the users, but also around the problems that you can solve, and the value that you can provide. You can book in to that through that link below, my.signaturesolution.online. We'd love to be having a chat with you. Haven't got too many questions coming through, so leave it there. Thank you very much. This week's Tuesday Talk.